Hi guys, so I've got another video review here for you today, and this time we're going to take a look at how I rig my Pocket 6K cinema camera and sort of what I think the ultimate rig for this kind of camera is. So this is a sponsored video, as Smallrig sent me pretty much all of the parts I needed to build this rig, so a massive thank you to them for that. But let's get stuck in. So yeah, usually on this rig I'll have a lens, obviously, a battery, and then I've usually got a matte box, and if I'm working on the shoulder I'll have some handheld grips, and I've got the shoulder pad here, which I'll talk about in a little bit. This is generally how the camera stays rigged. I don't tend to use it without the V-mount plate because the LP6 batteries just don't last that long. And as per usual with my videos, links to everything you see in the video will be down in the description should you want to purchase anything for yourselves. So to start with, the rig itself is built around the Smallrig Pocket 4K cage, which works perfectly with both the Pocket 4K and the Pocket 6K. It's a safe bet if you want to buy a cage that fits both. Go with the Smallrig cage. It's also one of the cheaper ones on the market. It's around £80 or £90 in the UK. So that's the cage itself. And then underneath the cage we've got this Dovetail quick release system, which is a dovetail clamp that will fit to a dovetail plate on a tripod. I've got the 15mm rods, which are just standard 15mm rods from Smallrig. The base plate itself is actually on a quick release system. So you've got a plate that screws into the bottom of the cage, which then clamps into the dovetail quick release. So that means you can take the camera away from the plate and the rods and just use it as the camera in the cage, and then clamp it back down to the rods, and you've got a more built out rig system. So that's really versatile. And in the bottom of that plate that goes into the cage there are also threaded tripod screw holes, so you can screw the cage directly into a tripod plate and use the cage just on tripod. For the quick release dovetail system, you can slide it into an ARRI dovetail plate, or you have 4 1/4-20 and 1 3/8 screw threaded holes, so you could just rig it to a standard Manfrotto sliding plate. So you've got plenty of options for how you can rig this to a tripod or gimbal or any other sort of mounting system. The next piece I want to talk about is this cable lock from Smallrig. It's a HDMI and micro USB cable lock, and it just screws straight into the side of the cage, and it just helps you secure your cables and make sure nothing's going to get pulled out when it shouldn't. I think that's around £20 in the UK, so that's really worth having just to protect your cables and your ports. The next part of the rig I want to talk about is this Smallrig T5 SSD mount that screws directly into the cage, and is absolutely solid. Like, this isn't going anywhere, it's really secure, and once you've got your drive in there it really locks down, clamps on the drive quite tightly. Not enough to damage it, but just enough to make it sit in place and it's not going to fall out. So it's really reliable, and I think T5s are definitely the way to go when recording with this camera. The next thing I want to talk about is this Nato clamp I've got here and the shoulder pad. Now, I've put a Nato rail on top of this shoulder pad that I've had for a little while, and it literally just clamps in to the Nato clamp, and it enables me to have the camera in a really good, comfortable position on my shoulder. And if I want to go back to my tripod, I unclip the Nato clamp, take off the shoulder pad, put that in my case, and then I'm good just to go straight back to tripod. The reason I did that was I just wanted something quite compact and easy to remove without having to remove like the battery plate and everything to get the shoulder mount off as you do usually. That's just a really quick and easy way to mount it and remove it. Whereas if I'd sort of had this permanently attached, it would have to sit quite far back and push the battery plate even further back, and it just makes it all a bit back heavy, and it makes it harder to get a nice counterbalance going. So the next part of the rig that I want to talk about is this V-mount plate here. Now this isn't from Smallrig, this is from a company called Camvate, and it's got various power outputs from D-tap and USB to a 7.2 DC output for your camera, and then a 12 volt output for a monitor or some other kind of accessory. So you've got plenty of options in terms of power, and I do recommend for people with the Pocket, power it via DC rather than D-tap. Seems like people have been having problems when they're running D-tap and powering a monitor and the camera from the same battery plate using D-tap. It just seems to create a loop and that fries the HDMI port on the camera. Now, I've not tried powering the camera via D-tap, and I'm not going to, just in case that does happen. So I do recommend you go DC to locking DC or DC to dummy battery, one of the two. So next up, I want to talk about this top handle and monitor swivel mount. These are both really new releases from Smallrig. The top handle, as you can see, has wood on the bottom, and it's a really nice, comfortable, grippy handle. And anyone who knows me knows that I really like wooden handles, or leather-coated ones over just metal or rubberized covers. I just think they're more comfortable. But this top handle's great. It's got a bunch of different mounting options. It's got 1/4, 20 and 3/8 holes. It's got a cold shoe on the back, cold shoe on the front. And then its party trick is if I undo this silver knob here, you can turn the handle around. So if you've got a camera build that's really front heavy or back heavy, you can achieve a better counterbalance by repositioning this handle in this manner. It just makes it a little bit more versatile and gives you options, which is always nice to have. One thing I wish they'd done though is given us a 15mm rod mount in the sort of main body of the handle, just so you could easily attach an EVF mount. You know, it's just something that would help make it even more versatile, but that's quite nitpicky. I really like it. It's solid, it's really comfortable, and it feels like the perfect size. The tilt and swivel mount here is again a really new release from Smallrig. They've made similar products before, but this one has a cold shoe mount on the bottom, and I just felt that was the way I wanted to go with this rig rather than Nato or 1/4, 20. So we've got that and a Feelworld MA5 monitor attached up top. But yeah, so that's my rig pretty much complete. I think this is a really compact and versatile way to rig the camera, and I've seen a lot of people do things similar, but I just wanted to do my take on it and sort of list the parts I recommend people go for based on my personal preference. And if you see anything you like, obviously there's the links down in the description, and you could rig up your camera pretty similar to this to get a really versatile shooting package. But that's it for today, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.